Hello and good evening, everybody. It's been a tough day. I think it's fair to say it's not been the most enjoyable day for Forest fans, especially. But as someone who's been at work, it's just not been the most enjoyable day anyway. A little bit hungover, to be honest. So anyway, but it's good to be back talking about Forest. My Wi-Fi sorted out, and I'm just touching wood here to make sure that it does stay with us throughout the whole stream. I know that other people are streaming at the moment, so I completely understand that, people might not be here. Some people might still be traveling back, so I understand that as well. But that being said, let's talk about Forest. Let's talk about, I didn't get to watch the game, unfortunately, so you guys will tell me the in-depth details about where a player ran to that was wrong, a move that a player made that was wrong. But I can say from what I've heard on the radio, I can say from what I've heard, and I won't take anybody's word for gospel as well. I will just say, obviously, my opinion is my opinion, but I can't make that based on the lack of game that I watched, because I watched none. But I will just say that it's starting to come back a bit. The people that are saying Ryan Yates is this, Steve Cook doesn't deserve to be in this team. Look, you've got to put it down to a collective performance. The collective performance was poor. Okay, this is how it is, right? The collective performance was poor. The end result was far from what I think it could have been. I don't think that Arsenal are a team that are unbeatable. I think they're a team with lots of weaknesses. PSV, obviously leagues above Forest, by the way, PSV. And I wouldn't even say leagues above Arsenal. I'd say that Arsenal are a better team than PSV, but PSV outclassed them on the night. Ruud van Nistelrooy outclassed them on the night. And obviously I have said I would have taken 4 points from Brighton, Liverpool and Arsenal, but it's the way that we went out that makes it frustrating, because a loss to Arsenal, and I don't like to say this because I have a lot of faith and I will never, ever give the ball. I will never, ever give the boys nothing but my full support. And I will never bet against our team. There'll be times where I'm thinking, oh, God, we could lose here. This is looking likely, like today. But I've never gone out there and said, we're going to lose here. We're going to lose here. Let's look at the next game anyway without looking. We've got to live for today. We've got to live for the game that is in front of us. We can't keep living for, right, this is the, because before you know it, you've kept passing on so many games, and it comes to the end of the season and you're thinking, oh, okay, we've got a bit of a problem here. Actually, we should have just gone for those games that we were really trying for. And as fans, we should have enjoyed the moments more, regardless of the scoreline. So, on and off the pitch, making the most of the game that we've got today and getting behind the lads today, rather than thinking about the Brentford game, is so important. You've got to think one game at a time. And I don't think many of us do that. I think it ruins the experience as a football fan, something that I did a lot of last season. And although, we went up and everything, but it would be nice to have been able to kind of remember a bit more vividly the kind of games that led up to that. But, look, this is a loss that we won't forget about. It's a loss that will hurt, and it does hurt. It's a loss that I think was avoidable. I think it was avoidable. I'm going to go out and say that. The question and the title of this video was, Forest got battered in the capital. Was it inevitable? Now, I've got to ask you the question, because the title of the video isn't Forest losing the capital. It is Forest got battered in the capital. Forest were battered today. They were destroyed. 5-0. Easy win for Arsenal. Not even a challenge from Forest. We didn't even put in a challenge. Now, this is the time where I can say I think that losing against Arsenal, obviously this is all being said in hindsight, so this has to be taken with a pinch of salt, but I do feel that the loss to Arsenal was likely. I think it was probable. I don't believe it was inevitable. I think that Liverpool were, obviously they lost against Leeds, but they've still got a very strong team there, a team that's capable of beating us, and they didn't do that. And we didn't perform at that same level as we did against Liverpool. That's 100% how it was. And again, confidence comes to play a part. Obviously, the boys have got to make sure that, that we don't. I'm sure they already know, because I'm sure Steve Cooper will be telling them this, but to not let it get to them. You beat Liverpool, which is great and everything, but and this is why when Steve Cooper said last week we're not going to start doing victory laps now. This is why. He didn't go out last week and start going and doing the punches and going absolutely crazy that we've beaten Liverpool. He stayed humble. He had a very good press conference, which I already mentioned on Twitter, and I think really that his words resonate today. I mean, you can tell me how you feel about this, guys. Make sure you get in the comments. It's good to see some of you joining in. Kel, Kev, Brian, Sonny D, Sonny Reed, and Mark. Good to have you in. Look, I well and truly believe that Forest could have done something today. And I'm not talking about in terms of what we've seen today. Do I believe it could have been 5-2? No, I don't believe that. What I do believe, though, is looking before the match, looking at that Liverpool performance and going, well, could we scrape a draw here? Arsenal keep your possession. They won't give it back to you. They'll play around with it, and you got people like Martinelli, it was saw today, Reece Nelson, Saka, obviously he came off, but still very good player. Thomas Partey. This is football. It goes. It doesn't go the way you want it to sometimes, but it's the way it went today that was. It was the way it went out. It was the way we went out. I'm okay with, and I mean, obviously, I'm never okay with Forest losing. I'd want us to win every game. Who doesn't? As a Forest fan, you want that. As a football fan, even if you support Derby, you want your team to win. Do you know what I mean? Even they're not that delirious, but this is how it is. As football fans, we've got to understand we do lose these games, but it's the way we went out that really made it frustrating to watch, and listening on the radio. And it wasn't Colin Frey today, which I was, I'm not going to say upset, because I actually really like David Jackson and he did a brilliant job at commentating the match today. But yeah, listening on the radio, I'm thinking these guys just completely shocked. I mean, they've travelled all the way to London. You're seeing this, and I'm thinking, wow, there's people that have paid money to come and watch, and you're just thinking it's poor. It's really poor. But I still don't really believe that scoreline was inevitable. I don't think it was inevitable. The idea of going to Arsenal and losing 5-0 after they'd come off two awful games. I mean, awful. The Southampton game, they were lucky to scrape a draw. PSV, they couldn't put a ball in the net. And you're talking 5 with us. It's hard. It's really hard to watch, and it was really, really devastating. Yeah, it 1-0 up, as you say, Sonny D. 1-0 up in the first half. I'm thinking to myself, it's not that bad. I'm thinking, can we maybe get an equaliser here? And if it was 2-1, you've gone out with a bit more grace than that. Or I would hope so. It's just so hard. It's just so hard to. It's so hard to kind of look back and think about last season, because this is a new season. We're all still buzzing off last season, and it's kind of creeping up on us that this is Premier League now. And the Premier League is such a tough league to hack, and you've got to be on your A game every time, and we've struggled to do that, But look, I'm going to say this, and this is going to be controversial. I think that Forest could, obviously looking at that Liverpool game, I believe there was something there where we could have gone, maybe got a draw, maybe, looking kind of ahead, but today just wasn't meant to be. And we didn't make it easy for ourselves. I will just say that. But I won't jump on this train of Steve Cook out, Ryan Yates out. And I'm not saying that you can't criticise a player, or you can't, because you can. You can. That's what football is. If everybody just said that the player was great because they support the team, there wouldn't be any progress, I don't think. Because at the end of the day, Steve Cooper's going to go and, they're going to go and, he's going to go in there and tell everybody, This is how I feel about this. This is how I feel about you personally. I'm going to have a chat with you, but I don't think that, all the stuff about Steve Cook out might have had a bad game. I don't, really know much about his performance. So I couldn't watch. Ryan Yates especially. I think that when it comes to Ryan Yates, the thing is, I don't think he's the most technically able player we've got in that team by any means. He could be the least technically able player you've got in there, but he gives his effort every time. And today just wasn't that game for him. And that's how things go in football sometimes. And unfortunately, that was a collective performance. And obviously, Lingard had a bit of a game to forget, which is why I think that when people say it was Brennan Johnson's fault for this not happening, or it's this, I personally think that people are just looking for a scapegoat, someone to blame this on. This is a collective issue. This is not a one-person problem. If it was a Jesse Lingard problem today, then why did we lose 5-0? You know what I mean? You can't blame Jesse Lingard for losing 5-0. Did we get enough chances to go and put 5 past Arsenal and equalise? Did we? Because, at the end of the day, I think we all look for a player to go, we had 5 shots, 2 shots on target. Seriously, how can we blame Jesse Lingard for that? There was literally no scenario, if you look at goals on target, shots on target, where you could have gone and said, Forest could have got 5 there. There was not 5 goal-scoring chances, proper goal-scoring chances that nearly went in that Forest created. You can't blame that on Lingard for me. It's a collective issue. He didn't have a good game, and I'm not going to defend that. I think people that say he didn't have a great game, you're right. And I'm not going to say that he did have a great game, and, I'm not going to say that. But this is a collective issue. You're not conceding 5 goals because of Lingard. And I'm not saying that you're conceding 5 goals just because of Steve Cook and Scott McKenna either. The ball has got to move through sets of players before it even gets to the defensive line. So, people have to take responsibility. They probably already have. And I can imagine they're feeling it. They're really feeling it because nobody wants to go to an away game, against Arsenal, a team that you beat last season. You kind of want to keep that little kind of bogey club stuff kind of going on and lose. Nobody wants that. Who would want that? But this is it. This is one of them games. So I think everyone accepts defeats teams like Arsenal, but as ever, I mean, Paul, look, I don't want to have to accept this defeat. It's horrible. There's times when I kind of think to myself, looking in hindsight, I can say we didn't have a chance of even getting close. But I think the manner of defeat wasn't honourable. But Arsenal, a very good team. That being said, I didn't want to see it as a free hit, as people see it. I don't want to see it as a free hit. I hate that. A free hit. Seriously. We've got to go into every game like we did against Liverpool and just give it our all. We can't do that just at home. We've got to do this every single week. Every game, we've got to give our all. And Arsenal outclassed us today. And fair play to them. They've outclassed us. We go again next week against Brentford at home. This has got to be a collective. This is a collective issue. Hi, Jay. To my mind, you can't play a side in the form of Arsenal with only 9 men participating. Look, I didn't see much of this game, so I can't go out there and say what I think Morgan Gibbs-White or Lingard needs to do more of in games. Because at the end of the day, I thought that Morgan Gibbs-White had a really good game last week. And in general, pardon that, you can hear the fireworks. Oh gosh, this sounds awful, doesn't it? I hope YouTube doesn't get me banned for this. Sorry about that. But on a serious note, I do believe that Morgan Gibbs-White and Lingard are good enough. I believe that Morgan Gibbs-White, without question, is good enough for this team. I think that Lingard is struggling. I think the ability's there, but I really don't think that the confidence and the willingness and the motivation is there. And that's really hard because I personally don't believe that I don't know how to say this because I really like Lingard. You know, and I think that he's had a great career. And, you know, I've had the privilege of watching, as many of you have, you know, as watching a really good young English player at the time, you know, playing for a bit of United, and we saw him at West Ham, and that's what we were hoping for at Forest. But, you know, we haven't had that. And for fans, that's disappointing, you know, when obviously, you know, you're giving the club money and the club are paying his wages, you kind of want something back. And, you know, obviously we don't feel like we've got that yet. Which is devastating. Really, really devastating. I do believe the squad's good enough. To be honest with you, I do believe the squad's good enough for the Premier League. It's the wrong time to go into meltdown. I don't think there's ever a time to go into meltdown. If you get relegated, you get relegated. That's the game of football. You know, but I also do believe that that there is a difference between having a team with lots of good ability and a team with lots of good chemistry. You know, I think that at the end of the day, football is a game where you can't just put a team of 11 individuals on the pitch, all with great ability, but with no chemistry. You know, at times it just looks like we've lacked chemistry, and we've lacked kind of that team spirit, you know, which, as I say, is gutting. That's football. It happens sometimes. Obviously, I would never, ever like to see that happen to Forest like it did today. But this is it. 2 good performances, Brighton and Liverpool, and then you come off the back of that and you lose against Arsenal 5-0. It's not kind of a result that you expect after those 2 games. You know, you might expect a smaller loss, but in that stature, that's it's rather phenomenal, isn't it? You know, and I'm disappointed and upset. Who wouldn't be, right? You know, we're all Forest fans at the end of the day. This is how it is. I'm a Forest fan, you're a Forest fan, or maybe you're not. Maybe you're an Arsenal fan that's listening in. You know, this is it. I think that there's tough times ahead for Forest. Really, really tough times. But we've got to stick behind him. We've got to stick behind him. And I know that, I don't know, Sonny, you don't. You're right. You don't. Obviously, we've had 2 high scoring losses. Well, 3 high scoring losses. You know, obviously Leicester, Arsenal, and Man City. You know, in that order, lowest to highest. It's horrible. I do think there's chemistry in the team, and I just think we see glimpses of it sometimes. In a game like this, there was probably times when you saw maybe the slightest of glimpse. You know, Liverpool, we saw it in full force, or for what I thought was full force, 80% there. You know, you look at it in the Brighton game, you kind of started to see it coming together a bit in regards to the chemistry. You know, so I do believe that this team has got the ability to stay in this league. I believe we've got the managers to take us to, you know, heights in this league over time. And I do believe that can happen. You know, obviously we've got after Christmas, but this isn't a time to be saying, right, let's work for the next game. Let's, you know, we've got to focus on the game that's in front of us. And as fans, we've got to look forward to the game that's in front of us. It's going to be a really tough couple of games now. You've got Brentford, Crystal Palace, Spurs in the Cup, you know, and then you've got United on the 27th, because it's not Boxing Day anymore. They rescheduled it. So you've got some really tough games coming up. Really tough games. And look, Sonny, you know, the logic for me is that I do believe we've got a good enough team. I do believe we've got a good enough. Seriously, how many of those players are you going to chuck in the Championship and say that's your standard? Nico Williams, arguably better than Loddy, right? At left back. That's it. You know, you've got Morgan Gibbs-White, Premier League standard every day. Brennan, he's Premier League standard. He's got to find his feet, and he will. It's going to take time. You know, Steve Cook, for me, he's proved that he's Premier League standard, All these players are Premier League standard, I feel, but they're just not working that well together at the moment. And they have glimpses where maybe nerves have got the better of them. I feel that nerves have got the better of them today, and they've overthought it too much. And they've kind of, they've overthought it too much. That's hard. It's really hard. And in all fairness, Sonny, I think personally Bournemouth had a better team going up. They didn't have to make as many changes as Forest have. This is the reality of it. Bournemouth, fair play to them. They're doing really well, and I'm happy, for them, because whatever. I don't want to see them doing as well as they are, because obviously it's a bitter thing, isn't it? For the last 2 results we've had against them. But look, they've got a good team. You've got Kiefer Moore up front, fantastic player. You've got you've just got some brilliant players in that team, and you kind of think, well, do you know what? They've not had to make too many additions. They've got the chemistry already there. Steve Cooper's had to come and build a completely new squad and gel them all together. Okay, they kind of show glimpses of that every now and then. You've got to make sure the players all get on. You're building a whole new team, and that's so hard. And we're going to struggle because of that. All those signings we had to make, we're going to struggle. And perhaps they're going up with a good few loan players. It's not a sustainable option. And although we won up that season, it's probably costing us a little bit on the pitch now. Will it for the rest of the season? I don't think so. I think we can spring back and we can bounce back and improve as a team. And I'm confident, but it's not going to be easy. And we've got to accept that. And the goal difference is awful. Bournemouth have got a better goal difference than us, believe it or not, even though they lost 9-0. But Malcolm, I don't agree. I think that the way he handles the ball, the way he gets past players, is actually really good. I think that people are looking at players from this game. They're looking at player performances today and saying that defines your whole season so far. I mean, I find that some of the family, and this is not you, Melt, by the way. I respect you and everybody that's got their opinion and putting it out there, but I believe that people will judge a player's season based off that one game against the top of the table Arsenal. And yeah, we shouldn't have been beaten by that much, and that's devastating, but that's how it is. But to write off Morgan Gibbs-White, I don't think I can. I don't think it's fair to write off anybody at this stage. 2 goal scorers in January. I don't know anything more than you guys do. But the club will be looking at people. Maybe a defender. I don't know. Something's got to happen. Joe, I hope you're doing well, my friend. Good to see you there. Look, I think you're at United there, aren't you? Is it United? Love it. So yeah, Joe, good to see you, mate. When are you next coming down to Nottingham? I'll have to get you some tickets to Forest if you want to go, since everybody's going to start giving the tickets away now, aren't they? That's our fan base at times. Rad Dad, hiya, mate. I hope you're doing well. Devastating, isn't it? But good to see you last game. And you don't sit that far from me at Forest as well. So I'll have to make it a little half-time chat, I'm thinking, because I had the big boss with me the other day. So it was a bit like, oh, okay. A bit nerve-wracking. So I had to make sure I was on best behaviour for the Liverpool game. So that was his first trip to Forest since Sky Sports first covered Forest. I think that's what he said to me. But anyway, on that's it. But Rad Dad, if you want to come and say hello, it'd be good to come and have a chat, talk about the game. Obviously, we've got a lot to talk about these games these days now. But yeah. Anyone with Newcastle until January excuse, you had a woman riling the fan base up outside Parliament because you didn't get a big payout. What? Sorry, I have no idea what that means. A woman riling up. Yeah, I don't get the second bit. I do understand that first bit, but yeah, not a clue what you're on about in the second bit. But yeah, but you can do that. What Newcastle did is, I wouldn't say similar actually, but it's something that is possible, but will be very, very tough. Morgan Gibbs White ability is definitely there. I agree. Just needs to be consistent. Tom, I massively agree. Look, Morgan Gibbs White is a good player. He's an asset to the club. And he cares. He's passionate. That's clear to see. But obviously, I think it's a collective issue. I think it's easy to say a player played badly when the whole team is doing awfully. Do you know what I mean? And this is it. I think that Brennan Johnson was, and to some extent is still, a scapegoat for people's frustrations. Personally, tell me what he couldn't have added today. Obviously, I know that any player going into that game probably couldn't have added a lot, given how bad we were. But a game like Liverpool, where Lingard didn't have the greatest game, you got Jono there, ready. And I personally think that his work ethic is more. But the only games where I think we've really got distribution, pardon me, are these last couple of games. And Jono's not played in them. So I think he would have thrived in these kind of games. But it's devastating. And Dor, I feel for you, my friend. If you want to jump on quickly, my friend, I'll send you a link and we can have a little chat. Obviously, I know that you're going to be tired and I'm sure editing, doing your thing. But yeah, making the trip down. And I just want to say to everybody that did make the trip down, thank you. Sound like a club spokesman now. Thank you on behalf of the club. No, seriously, just thank you for traveling. And, obviously you've done the boys a service there. And I'm sure that they'd really appreciate that, even though, the result wasn't great. I probably won't be back until Christmas, but make sure to pop my head in the pub and say hi. I will do, Joe. No worries, my friend. Missing you, mate. Everything's changing. This is a workplace conversation we're now having on the stream there. But Joe, yeah, we will we'll catch up soon for sure. And yeah, be good to see you. And we'll go to a Forest match or something when you're down. Oh yeah. I remember. Yeah, Amanda Staveley. Yeah, I don't want to go into Newcastle politics, but it was an interesting takeover process. That was very interesting. So when's the dance off? I'll let Dor decide that one. Whenever Dor's ready, I'm ready. It's winning our home games that keeps us up. Home atmosphere is brilliant. Fans are brilliant. And they get behind the lads a lot at home games. Has a massive, massive mental impact. And obviously you got Brentford coming soon. It's going to be tough. Brentford are a good opponent, bit inconsistent, but a good opponent. But yeah, we'll have to wait and see. Keep getting behind the boys, and remember, if you are going to the Forest matches, let me know. It'd be good to meet some of you at the game. Dor's going to be coming on very shortly, so I'm going to have a little chat with him about this. And we're going to have a little conversation. Obviously, he was at the game today, so I wanted him to kind of tell us his narrative of the game. Because I do want to know, obviously, what it was like. Obviously, at the Emirates, I'd love to go to the Emirates. It's a brilliant stadium, and London's a massive, massive place. But he'll be joining in just a second, so I'll add him on now, and he'll give us a little bit about his thoughts on the game. So, Dor, it's good to see you, mate. I know that it's not been the game today, to be honest, but yeah, it's drive down, and you've went to watch a game where we've had our second heaviest defeat of the season. And this is the first time that Arsenal have won a game by 5 goals since Wenger left. It's devastating. How are you feeling, and how can you sum up that day?
I think the first goal killed us, if I'm honest. But to be fair, I think the last 15 minutes, 20 minutes of the first half, we was in the game. It was in the game. I think when Saka went off for them, it was in the game. I know Lingard had a shot. Someone blocked it. I don't know who it was who blocked it. But second half just went downhill. We keep doing it. 3 goals in 10 minutes, especially the first goal in the second half. It just went downhill, and I don't know. It's today. Like I said, let's keep it real. Arsenal are going to be in the top 2. Let's keep it real. They're going to be top 2. They're a good side. They're not on Man City's level, because Man City were just different at first. But Arsenal, they'll be there and abouts. It's just tough. Like I said, we've got to be humble about it and said, yeah, we lost to a much better team than us. But at the same time, going forward, I've read a stat. We had 1 shot in the box. 1 shot. So these next 2 games, Brentford and Crystal Palace, we need to do something. We've got to step up, because if we don't, I'm not trying to be negative at all. Like I said, I'm trying to enjoy it. We're in the Premier League first time in 23 years. We've got to enjoy it. So
sorry. I mean, if you don't mind me just saying, I wanted to kind of know. I wasn't there today, as you know, and I want to understand a bit more about the kind of on the field stuff, because obviously we lost, and as you say, to a very much better team. The scoreline showed it. Their league position shows it. I personally think that Arsenal have a lot of weaknesses that I think other teams have exploited partially. Man United exploited it, PSV, Southampton to a degree. And I don't believe that Arsenal will win the league because of that. And I think that they're kind of riding their luck a little bit, but not with us. They fully deserve to win us. But what would you pinpoint in that game that you would say is the main weakness for this match? And do you really think it's an ability issue? What do you think has caused the kind of decay in the squad since that Liverpool game?
I don't even know, Jamie. That's the thing. I don't even know. Like, going forward, like I said, we were fantastic against Liverpool, but we didn't really test Ramsdale, did we? That was a problem. Like, Tyler Warner, yeah, he scored his goal against Liverpool, but I want his energy. I want his energy, because their 2 centre backs had it easy. They had it so easy, and when we had Lingard, Morgan Gibbs White, for me, like I said, they need to do more. They need to do more, and like I said, Jess Lingard's got. And I don't want to put the pressure on Jess Lingard, because it'd be unfair. Like I said, we can't deny the victory that Arsenal did today. But today, we need more. We do, and because yes, we lost 5-0. If the forwards not doing though, and the defence are going to get absolutely hammered. Like Cookie, he's been great for us. McKenna, I was a bit surprised the left back. I'm not going to lie. If you won the game last week, like Nico Williams playing left back, why would you not play Nico Williams back again at left back? I understand that we've got to balance the defence and that, but at the same time, it's just I don't know. It's hard to take, but I get it. Like I said, it's top team.
It's a top team, and obviously Nico's probably. I don't know. There's not been any injury news that Steve Cooper can tell us anyway from before the game, so I can't even say it's an injury thing with Nico Williams. Obviously, the World Cup's coming up quick. I can imagine that they're probably, Brennan and Nico are probably being given, whether it's a rest or they've been rested because of trying out other players. I don't know. I can imagine that also, obviously, with Brennan Loddy being alone, you've got to use him a certain amount of time. And obviously, Diego Simeone will want to make sure that his player is playing and ready to go back to Atletico Madrid at some point. I don't personally see Loddy going back to Atletico Madrid. and getting game time, I can probably see him being sold. You know, the way it is, the 30 million or whatever that they wanted in euros, I don't think they get from anybody. Obviously, he really did have a poor game. But this is, and I personally, from listening on the radio, I couldn't pinpoint an exact problem. It's hard to see how the team went that wrong after the Liverpool game.
The first half, like I said, when Arsenal scored the first goal, like I said, they was on top. Saka went off, and then we slowly got into the game, like going forward. Taiwan, Lingard, were pressuring the defense as well, and it was that Lingard chance that got blocked. And right, like I said, I don't want no excuses. I don't want to blame the ref. So I don't know. Arsenal won the game fair and square, but the referee decisions, especially the first half, weren't great. Warren Gibbs-White did a fantastic tackle, great tackle, foul. There's a few others that referee got wrong as well. Who's getting angry? I'm like, okay, is it like the top 6 team? The referees want to prefer to win now, but like I said, I don't want to blame the ref. Arsenal were just too good. Arsenal was just too good, and I'm just reading a comment from Sonny Reed. We're less the top team to put 4 past us. What I'm trying to say, Sonny, is like we played that the formation we played against Leicester, like put 2 midfielders, it didn't work. It was getting overrun, and with Arsenal, they've got a great side, they've got experience, they're top of the league now. I'm not saying that it's the Premier League. We beat Liverpool last week. What can you say about that? But today we've got to be humble about it. Arsenal were a better team, well organised, and we couldn't touch them. We couldn't touch them. It's simple as that. But yeah.
Well, obviously, summer recruitment is something that a lot of people are mentioning as a big factor in a poor game. And I want to kind of know your thoughts. Do you think that the club have, in some ways, because I don't want to, in fact, I don't want to ask that question because I do think this is only one loss. We've got 4 points from Brighton, Liverpool, and Arsenal. I would say the hardest run of games that we've had since the start of the season. Right, obviously, you had Tottenham, Man City, which was hard as well. I would say that's one of the hardest. Those 3 games, you're thinking you're losing every single one, but we've got 4 points. So I'm kind of thinking to myself, you know, it's going to hurt the boys. It's going to hurt their mentality and their confidence, you know, and they're obviously already, I mean, look at him. He wants to go to sleep, bless him. But
I've had a long day, Jay. Trust me.
Did you have good company in the car, though?
Oh, don't. Please, Gary Marriott. I'm not going to say what he said, but Gary Marriott, you're a bellend. Sorry for my language, but you just kept, yeah. You know why? It just I'll tell you off camera what the competition was about. Yeah, it just things talk. We talk. People, you hear things and that, but.
Well, we'll get to. I mean, we won't get to the depth of it. Me and Dor will, but that will not be released on this stream. But Ben asks the question: why isn't Bade getting a look in? He wasn't even on the bench today, which is interesting. What is the situation there? Because for a lone player that went from getting first team game time every week to getting no game time at all, for one, how can the manager of Rennes actually be allowing this? And 2, what is the relationship like with the club? Did Cooper really want Bade? I don't really know what the situation is there.
No one knows. No one knows. It's like with him, Bolly from Wolves, Berkone. We don't know. And the players like I personally think Cooper he plays Cork, he plays McKenna, maybe he trusts him.
Yeah, he trusts. Yeah,
maybe he trusts his players because he knows what he gets from them. But like I said, this Arsenal team, especially that front 3, they're fantastic, and I don't know. It's like I said, it's hard. But like I said, now we've got 7 days to think. Now, what's the next step? It's tough. It's going to be tough. It's going to be a tough one, but you need to sort out what's going to happen. What with the 2 big games that we have against Brentford and Crystal Palace? What's next? Because we've got, like I said, I want Cooper to stay, but you need to figure out what is next to get this team out of this mess. And I think he's the man to do it. I think he said his confidence, like I said, we got done over. Simple, but a great team.
So looking ahead, then Brentford obviously a week away.
That's too long, man. It's too long.
It's a long time to think about it, and also I want to kind of know as well. Like, you know, obviously this is something we're going to be thinking about all week, but it's now really the time to be getting our heads down and kind of, you know, being a bit upset. I mean, obviously it's a devastating loss. 5-0 is devastating, you know. But I'm looking at the recent form. We've been all right. It's just one bad game out of recent form. You know, and I saw Brighton as a starting point for that, and Arsenal will be a setback. But I don't think that Forest and the boys have lost the hunger, you know, at all. It's a tough result to take, and you know, it's a punch in the teeth, isn't it? Really, but you know, I personally don't feel it's a time for people to get their heads down and kind of be upset about it. It's not nice, but that's football. So, you know, looking at that Brighton game,
listen, we're in the Premier League. Let's keep it real. We're in the Premier League. All 5 fans wanted this. I wanted this, but we've got to accept. Like I said, we're in a relegation dogfight from now to the end of May. Like I said, these two games. Like I said, can we say we've got to target teams? Not really, because we beat Liverpool last week. So like this Palace game, the Brentford game. Like I said, we can't say, oh, have we got the right to beat them too? No, because Palace are a good side, Brentford are a good side. I know the best thing about it, the Brentford game, is Tony's not playing, so can we use that as a positive thing? Yes, we can, because everything goes through Tony. So can we get a result? I think we can, and a win, get everyone smiling again. Because like I said, if I look at the league table now, we've got a big chance. We've got a big chance, and look at the table. We're still on 9 points. Like Wolves on 10, Leicester on 11, Southampton, Villa, Leeds, Bournemouth, even West Ham and Everton. 2 wins out this can get us maybe out the bottom 3. But Brentford and Palace are thinking exactly the same. They'll be thinking, oh, everyone's beating Forest, we can get points out of them, blah, blah, blah. But listen, it's going to be a long season, and I don't want Forest fans just thinking us, Cooper this, Cooper that. Listen to me, he's got 23 players in. I think it's got to figure out how to get the best out of these. And I'm not saying like everyone keeps saying wait till the World Cup. Now we've got to get these we've got to get these wins against Brentford and Palace. Then, if we are at the bottom 3, and then maybe it's something that Cooper can go on the training ground with these players that are not going to the World Cup, and figure out what he's going to do.
Well, it's mad to see that, you know, it's mad to see that the people that we're kind of the people that are turning on Cooper so quick. I'm seeing people that are going, he looks like a defeated man. He's not doing this. He's get him out again. Who decided to extend his contract? I'm thinking, but last week he was the best manager in the world. I mean, this is it. People need to understand it's a terrible game. It's an awful result. And to some extent, I'm glad I didn't have to watch it. But at the same time, we've got to think about it for the next week, regardless. So, you know, I really do think that people need to just kind of calm it down a bit. I know that we're a third of the way through the season. I know people keep saying this. When do we look at it properly? I'm not saying don't look at it properly now, because you could look now and say we're going to get relegated, and we could get relegated. You know, the chance that let's be honest, the odds are against us. It's been a tough start to the season. that's going to impact us for the rest of it. That Fulham and Bournemouth game is hurting us now more than ever. Because if we had won just one of those games, we'd be much higher up the table. You know, we would be, what, would we be out of that bottom three door? I don't know if we would. If I have a look at the table now, if we had won that game, we would have just been at the top of the bottom three. At the moment, we're 2 points adrift, 3 points out of the bottom, getting out of the bottom three. So as you say, a win would do something. But 2 wins is massive. But does it look likely? I must admit, no. But I won't bet against Forest. And I believe that we can do something. You know, and at the end of the day, that's just how football goes at times. And we've been not the best side today, and we got completely outclassed. They took 71% of the possession, which is a phenomenal number. You know,
I see it again on Twitter. The people, the Yates haters again, back on form again. And that's it's easy target to go for Yatesy, but no one was good. I know it was Yates' fault for the first goal, or Cook, one of the two. So yeah, it's just I love it. I love it on Twitter when usual lot destroy. I've seen a comment from Gordon, lads, name a worse 3 teams than us, and I'll listen. Gordon, what I'm trying to say, Gordon, we are the worst team. We are the worst team. The table doesn't lie. And that's simple as. But look at Wolves. Look at Leeds. Like Leeds won yesterday against Liverpool. But are they still a bad side? Like we beat Liverpool. Are we a bad side? This league is crazy, Gordon. So we are the one of right now, and I keep it 100. We are the worst team in the Premier League. But there's worse teams. There is going to be worse teams than us as well. So I don't know. And as well, let's keep it real again. We got a point against Brighton. How did Chelsea get on with them? Does that make does it because Brighton battered Chelsea? We got a point against Brighton. Does that make us like we're the best team in the world?
Yeah, this is it, and I know because look, I can't name the 3. Sonny and Gordon, you're not. I don't think it's clever to try and catch us out because we can't name a 3.
No, right. Right, people in the comments. Name us the 3. No, because if they're trying to get involved, if they're trying to catch us out, what 3 teams are worse? Name them. I've just said
name the 3.
I've just said Forest. If you look at it, we are the worst team in the Premier League. Have I said we're not the worst team in the Premier League?
But you haven't. And but that being said, though, do I believe that we deserve to be there because we haven't performed? Do I believe that we can get higher and get out of that position? Absolutely. But at this current point in time, it's not clever to say that Forest are the worst team in the league because that is what we are. We're the worst team in the league by stat. Simple. We're not saying that Forest are we're mid-table quality and this has been an unlucky start. It's been a poor start. It's been a really poor start, and we haven't deserved.
You know what? Right, let me ask a question. Right, Dino and Sonny, if you want to come on my channel, as well, we'll talk about it. Because I'm not trying to be negative. If you want to come on my channel and talk about it, come on my channel and we'll talk about it. Let's do the show on Tuesday. Let's do a show on Tuesday and we'll talk about it. Because I've just said it. What else do you want me to say? We are the worst team in the Premier League because we're rock bottom. Simple as that.
And that hurts. And obviously, if we didn't beat Liverpool, we would be 5 points adrift, 6 points adrift. You know, and Gordon, we named the 3.
We just said that. Gordon, we just said the 3. I've just said the three.
There isn't one. There's
There
no
isn't one.
three.
Forest. Right, Sonny, go on and tell me the three teams that are worse, and I'll see if I agree or disagree with you. Forest are up there, and that's a fact. We are the worst team in the Premier League.
And that being said, though, but we can still have hope. We can still keep supporting the lads. Keep your tickets. And this is another thing that I really don't get, right? There's people that work so hard to go and, I mean, most Forest, I mean, all of the Forest fans, they go to away matches and home matches, working hard for these tickets, pay for them. And they're thinking, oh, now we're losing. I'm not bothered. Someone can buy my ticket. Seriously. If you're only going to a Forest game when we're winning, you're not a proper Forest fan. You're fickle. And I personally don't think you deserve to go and have a seat. Personally, if you're choosing not to go to a game simply because of recent form, I understand long away days sometimes, and sometimes maybe you might not be able to make things, but this is it.
Can I say something about what you just said about people work commitments with going to Forest games? I think that's absolutely garbage. This is not you, Jay.
Because I couldn't get my shift covered today. That's the thing, and there's people that can't.
Exactly, but I think, like today, I don't want to have a little cheap dig at people. I go to every single game, especially with my usual lot, like Gary, Malcolm, the lot. I saw people I've never seen in my life at today's game. Never seen it in my life at Forest away game. So, yeah, I don't want to say much, but it gets me angry. I follow my club all the time. I get it. We're in the Premier League with different eyeballs. People want to see these big teams. La-di-da. Our next away day is Man United after the World Cup. Listen to me, it's going to be tough. It's going to be really, really tough. But we got to believe, man. Anything could happen. Anything could happen. Like I said, we could believe. We are the worst team in the Premier League. I don't want to be negative. I'm never negative about Nottingham Forest, but we've got to take advantage. Like I said, we're in the Premier League. If he was in the Championship, then yeah, but we're not. We're in the Premier League, and that's it.
Well, this is it. And look, I don't want to say too much more on it because I think that I don't want it to become a rant my end, because obviously I'm frustrated just as everybody else is. But we've got to look to the next game, and we've got to be ready. We've got to look at and support the players that we've got now, not the players that might be coming in January. We've got to think of who we've got now. So on that note, I will just say thank you all for listening. We'll be back at some point, probably next week. It'll probably be Thursday, and then again Sunday. I couldn't do a preview show, unfortunately, just due to work commitments. My end, we had an event on at my workplace, so I couldn't make it. But it's going to be really tough.
Well, before you go, JJ, again, Sonny, come on. I read a comment. Championship away days were great. What would you prefer, Sonny? Sonny, come on my show Tuesday, Sonny. Message me on Twitter, Instagram. Come on my show. Des does a show on Tuesday. We'll talk about it. You prefer the Championship to the Premier League? Come on my show, Sonny. Please do. Message me on Twitter, Instagram, a lot.
Well, let's see if this actually happens, because obviously interesting to see, because I prefer Premier League away days by far. And as Declan says,
I don't know if he's just saying it for the sake of it, for the comments, or just because it's easy to write. It's easy to write. But yeah,
I mean, I will just say I don't miss doing the whole game was absolutely awful. So if you're talking about missing away games in the Championship, I don't. So I'm going to say I'm Premier League on that one. Forest to Premier League. It's been a tough run of form. It's been a tough game. I say tough run of form. It hasn't really, but obviously, throughout this season, it's not been brilliant. But today's game was hard, and it wasn't brilliant. But that being said, we've got a chance to redeem ourselves against Brentford and another chance at Crystal Palace. I've got all the faith in the boys that they can do it, regardless of today's result. Let's keep the faith. Let's have a great week. Remember, I'm on the radio at 8 in the morning. as well, so you can come and tune into that. I will actually play UB40 this week, though, because I forgot last week.
You better do.
Yeah, I forgot last week. I felt really bad. So tune in, NH Radio in the morning. I'll be up nice and early, as will you. It's Monday morning. Get up early, get your coffee. But anyway, I appreciate you all dropping in this evening. Have a fantastic evening, and we will catch you again soon. Thank you very much. Goodbye.
Up the forest.